welcome to Market Wrap number 184. Stuart Williamson here at the helm. This week we cover looking at house prices, where they're going up, where they're going down, how you can find out about them. Apparently we can do it by researching using a monopoly board. So we're going to look at that. Secondly, what's happened to inflation? How's that going? Thirdly, what's going on in Scotland? Is it really going all wrong? And where are the best and the worst cities in the world to live? Okay, this week UK interest rates are expected to fall sharply as next year as inflation drops to 3.9%. As reported in the Guardian newspaper this week, it's good news for mortgage holders. The city is expecting interest rates to fall sharply next year following news of a much bigger than expected fall in annual inflation in November to 3.9%. Despite the Bank of England's insistence it's reducing the cost of borrowing, markets believe Threadneedle Street will deliver at least 4 interest rate cuts in 2024. From The Guardian, it must be true. What did the markets think of that? During this week, share prices in London rallied strongly after the cheaper fuel and less expensive food helped bring inflation down from where it was last month, which is 4.6, to its lowest level since 2021. The FTSE rose by 1% to its highest level since May, with the economy weakening in response to the 40th successive interest rate rises between December 21 and 23. Analysts are now predicting that banks could start easing its policy stance as early as March next year. So, good news for policyholders. Now, the Scottish Government tomorrow, the 18th of December, is running its budget, and it's being urged by the great and the good to scrap rent controls. A well-known lawyer and estate manager has urged the Scottish Government to reset its relationship with the landlord sector by scrapping rent caps. Andrew Diamond, a partner and head of residential property at Edinburgh-based solicitor and estate agency firm Lindsay's, has said the current political hostility is squeezing supply north of the border, pushing up rents. Scottish landlords are currently limited to raise rents by 3% per year, which is causing some investors just to call it a day. I think it was reported last week, 12% of all landlords have quit Scotland. They're not basically taking out new tenancies, they're selling their properties. They can't increase rents unless it's in line with what the government says, and it's not in line with the market, which is basically a mismatch, which means people are leaving. Diamond said, more and more sellers are coming to us with properties they previously rented out because they do not see a future in which they can operate viably and fairly in the current climate. He went on to say, I cannot remember the last time I had a purchaser knocking at my door who was buying to let. The vast majority of our dealings with landlords at the moment are disposals or remortgaging their properties. That's not exactly what the government tried to set out to do up there. Tried to make it fairer for people who are renting. The reason it's not fair is because there's not enough stock up there. If they built more houses, and in Scotland they are building more than in England. The gentleman went on to say, I have no doubt that the government policy is designed to help tenants, and it is, but the clear unintended consequence is that the opposite is true. The size of our rental market is now shrinking because institutional investors are taking their business elsewhere, and current landlords are coming to us to sell their properties. This decreasing supply is propelling rent prices upwards. It makes neither social nor financial sense to keep digging a hole there. The budget announced by Scotland's Finance Secretary Shona Robinson will set the tax and spending plans for Scotland for 2024-2025. That's not great news for Scots. Find the cheapest and most expensive streets to live in your hometown using this new online tool, the Monopoly Board. Property Wars has created this tool that lets you choose a city, then shows you the average property prices and values of nearby streets on Monopoly style game cards. So basically that's, you go to the website, Property Wars, and you can download it, and you can work out, are you living the equivalent of Old Kent Road? Are you living in Pall Mall? Are you living in Park Lane? You can use this game now to work it out. And whilst having a look at it myself, I found Britain's most expensive street, even though house prices in that street are £3 million down, is in London. The average house price is 19 million. Grosvenor Square in Mayfair. The gross price, the quoting, is just 19.9 million, according to Halifax, who analysed prices from 2018 to 2023. Previously, the same report found that the average prices on that street were actually 23.5 million. So there you see the effect really of the Russian and Chinese money not coming into the UK, because they were the big buyers in the city of London. So that's not that brilliant for London. Although again, it's better for people who are native to London because it keeps prices down. That is what a lot of the countries in Europe have tried to do. They've tried to stop foreign buyers. They've done it in Australia, and it's very much the theme. New Zealand is the same. Where was the cheapest place to buy? Etherley Close in Durham. Average house price, £11,165. So that's a big difference. The average for a 4-bed house is in Rochdale. That's £119,950. So there are the sort of house prices you're looking at, and that's how you can use the board game. And this particular one was a gift from Prosperity, bless them. There you go, Prosperity Wealth. So there we have it, the cheapest and most expensive streets to live in the UK. Don't forget, go to Property Wars, use that tool. It's fun, something to do with Christmas. So let's look at now the world's most livable cities in 2023. According to the Economic Intelligence Unit, living conditions in cities across the world have fully recovered from the deterioration caused by COVID-19 pandemic. It rates living conditions in 173 cities using 5 categories: stability, healthcare, culture, environment, education, infrastructure. Cities in the Asia Pacific region have rebounded most and come back most. The index also suggested that life in cities is a bit better than at any time in the last 15 years. The chart below show which cities top the ranking. The livability survey was designed to help companies calculate hardship allowances for staff who are moving to a new and possibly less tolerable city. So you say you move into Singapore, you move to Hong Kong, you move into Shanghai, what uplift should you have in your pay? As a byproduct, it also provides a snapshot of the most and least desirable cities to live in, at least if you're an expat. So Vienna, with its excellent mix of stability and entertainment, reliable infrastructure, tops the ranking for the 4th time in 5 years. Copenhagen, a similar sized city with many of the same characteristics, is second. Melbourne, a fixture at the top of the rankings in the past, comes in at 3rd. In fact, 9 of the top 10 cities are small to mid-sized. All 10, and indeed most of the top 50, are in rich countries. Big cities with high levels of crime, congestion and density tend to fare less well. London fell 12 places from a year ago, coming in at 46th, and New York down a similar amount to 69th. Wellington and Auckland climbed 35 and 25 places compared to a year ago, and Hanoi is up 20, and Kuala Lumpur up 19 positions. Post-pandemic improvements in education and healthcare scores across Asia, Africa and the Middle East were the main reasons for this year's rise in living standards. At the bottom of the table, Damascus is the least livable city in the index for more than a decade, so 10 years running. Tripoli is next worst, although it's much higher than Damascus. Damascus is way off the bottom of the range. Kiev, despite its efforts to protect itself from the problems in the Ukraine, is also in the bottom 10. It was excluded from the 2022 index because Russia invaded Ukraine while the data was being collected. Its infrastructure scored 23 out of 100 and is the lowest in the index, thanks to all the Russian bombs. Of the 5 categories covered by the Economic Intelligence Unit survey, only the stability score dropped on average in 2023. Stability scores in many Eastern European cities, which fell in 2022 because they're close to the Ukraine. They have risen this year though, but deteriorated in general around the world, which means it's more in an unstable world we're living in. Striking workers in Greece, pension protests, that's what they're apparently fighting over. Inflation could lead to further falls in stability scores. Conflict in Israel, conflict in the Ukraine is affecting the greater world. There's some great cities to live in out there. There are some pretty grim ones, and we sure count ourselves lucky at Christmas time, hopefully to be with our family and friends and to be in stable locations. I can only worry about what is happening in places like Ukraine, Peru, Israel, where there's a lot of fighting going on. So this week, the real summary is inflation's down again, which is great. There was an article in the paper this week about Keir Starmer. If Keir Starmer took over, then the UK would be the Argentina of Europe within 20 years. high inflation running at 70%. Doesn't seem to be going that way at the moment. Secondly, Scotland, what's going on there? It doesn't look great, really. Putting up these rent controls, it doesn't seem to do what people want to do. It's a free market economy, and what will happen is you'll get the changes in that way. The Monopoly Board, it's a bit of fun to have a look at where is a good place to live, or where a good place to potentially buy in different cities. I did an analysis of Manchester using the board, and it was exactly right. So it does work. Or you can alternatively buy something like propertydata.co.uk and get it actually scientifically proven. Finally, best cities in the world to live in. Just a bit of interest as we're all travelling home to our home countries to see what it's really like. So there we go. That's Market Wrap number 184. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Do comment if you wish. Don't if you don't want to. Take care. Have a good Christmas. Cheerio.